Welcome to the Quit Vaping podcast, the podcast designed to make you a non-listener. In this show, I'm not going to scare you away from a life of vaping. What I am going to do is show you just how good your life can be without it. Thank you so much for listening and enjoy the show. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Quit Vaping podcast. I really do hope this is one of the last episodes you have to listen to quit vaping for good, if that's what you want. So before I get going on today's episode, I just want to say that the course is going really good. I'm selling a decent amount of them and I'm hearing really good feedback. So if you've been listening to this podcast for a while and you're like, I get it, I kind of understand the concepts, but it would be really nice to learn some tools to apply the concepts into my own life, the course is really going to help you do that. So you're going to learn some tools like the self-coaching model, all about emotions, and then just a little bit about your brain so you understand on a deeper level these tools, and then you actually learn how to apply them in your life. And there's a whole workbook, and there's an ebook that talks about my experience quitting and a bunch of belief systems I had that I've changed. So overall, really great course. I'm really proud of it. And as of today, I want to give you guys an update. So it's been 1 year, 341 days, 18 hours, and 55 minutes since I quit vaping, and I've saved $6,000, $116. My longest streak, so it's been 706 days. And I remember the reasons that I quit, I put it on here in quotes, is sore, tight lungs, and disempowered lifestyle. So literally, I've saved over $6,000 not vaping for almost 2 years. So $97 is a steal. I can't even imagine what that's going to save me, medical bills and my confidence. And there's so much benefits to quitting for the long run that I found in my life. So check out the course. It'll help you apply this stuff. Now, today we're talking about a concept I have. It's called quitting in 10 minutes. And the concept, I'll be honest, it's a little bit clickbaity. It's a concept that I have of like sitting down with your emotions and understanding how they work. Because as you guys know by now, if you've been listening for a while, vaping is an emotional problem. And remember, I call urges and cravings and emotions, I call them all the same thing. And the reason why, an emotion is just a vibration in your body caused by your thoughts. And a craving is just a vibration in your body caused by your thoughts. And an urge is just a vibration in your body caused by your thoughts. They're all the exact same thing. They're all just vibrations in our body. And the way that we learn how to process these things is exactly the same. You want to learn how to sit down with your emotions. Remember that emotions cannot be avoided and processed at the same time. So if you're using nicotine to escape emotions, you're not processing your emotions, you're just covering them up, you're numbing them. And that means that if you always learn to numb anxiety, not only are you always going to be anxious, but you're always going to need to learn how to numb anxiety. So that's what happens. Numbing emotion always leads to more numbing emotion. That's why you see people with addictive personalities, right? Remember, I believe there's no such thing as addictive personality. I just believe that a lot of people don't deal with their emotions and then they quit one vice and just adopt another one because they're not actually dealing with the emotional problem as the root. So when it comes to quitting in 10 minutes, this is a cute little exercise I have that I came up with. So I want you guys to know, I've been doing this meditation challenge for the last 30 days. I actually finished yesterday and I did 30 straight days of meditation. And what I found is that when I would sit down in a room and quiet my mind, almost without exception for 30 straight days, I would get a wave of negative emotion hit me that I had unconsciously been avoiding throughout my day. So my concept in quitting in 10 minutes is take 10 minutes a day to close your eyes, or not even close your eyes, just sit down somewhere free of distractions, free of nicotine, free of your phone, free of everything, because I promise you that when you're not distracting yourself, the emotions that you've been avoiding will come up. So many people, they come to me and they say, Andrew, I have no idea. Like, I understand the concept that it's not a vaping problem, it's an emotional problem, but I have no idea how to feel my emotions. I don't even know what emotions they are, how to name them. It's like, before we can name our emotions, we have to be able to understand that we're feeling them. And the best way to understand if you're feeling an emotion is to sit down without a distraction and let the vibrations come into your body. And I promise you that if you do this for 5 days, or maybe 10 days, or 3 days, or just one day, you will have emotions come into your body. And eventually you're going to start get really good at naming them. So once you can name an emotion, it stops being the scary monster that's hiding under your bed. You're like, oh, that's anxiety. It feels like a tightness in my chest. My hands are shaking. This is an urge. It feels like my hands are shaking. My chest is like tight. I feel very compelled to get out of it. It's a vibration that's in my head, the back of my neck. So once we can do that with emotions, they stop being so scary. And once we can actually sit down with an emotion and process it all the way through, what happens is magical. It goes away. Because emotions that we're not resisting stop persisting. That's exactly how it works. The reason why we have to use so many things to get out of our emotions is because we never allow ourselves to just feel the damn emotion to begin with. So I've been doing a lot of the meditations lately, and I find that every single day, no matter what's been happening, no matter how much I'm aware of the emotion, if I sit down to quiet my mind, there will be an emotion that comes up. And if I allow myself to be uncomfortable long enough to feel the emotion without any resistance, without any expectation of it going away, eventually it will lift, it will go away, and then I have processed an emotion. When you get really good at the skill of processing an emotion, you no longer need to escape the emotion. This is really powerful work. And you know why it's so powerful is because when you become the kind of person who can sit with an emotion without getting out of it, you stop overeating, you stop vaping, you stop over drinking, you stop overspending, you stop over porning, you stop over sexing, you stop looking for anything to get you out of uncomfortable emotions because you no longer have any uncomfortable emotions to get out of. This is the work, baby. And a lot of people, what they say to me is, Andrew, I just don't want to feel these emotions. I don't want to deal with them. And what I say to you then is you're already feeling them. You're just numbing over them because you're feeling them so often. You're just never actually feeling them. You're trying to avoid them. So you have two options in life. You can either learn how to process the negative part of life that kind of sucks, that feels uncomfortable, and then you can get through it. Or you can just try to resist it forever, indefinitely, and you have to keep getting stronger and stronger and stronger ways to keep resisting it. And then you'll tell everyone you have an addictive personality when that absolutely isn't true. You just have an underfeeling problem. And what I want you to know is that our society is filled with things that are designed deliberately to make money off of you getting out of your emotions. Why? Because it's very profitable. Every single person that makes cigarettes and nicotine and alcohol and gambling, you know what they get paid to do in the marketing departments? They get paid to understand how your brain works so that they can get you out of your emotions as quickly and consistently as possible so they can make a bunch of money off of you doing that. Well, if you want to stop vaping, if you want to stop doing any behavior in your life where you're overdoing it for a dopamine hit, you have to learn how to sit with the uncomfortable emotions that are driving you to get out of them. And this is so cool. So I've been doing this work by Joe Dispenza lately. If you don't know who Joe Dispenza is, he is a chiropractor who also does neuroscience, and he actually is doing these giant group programs now where he gets like thousands of people in a room to meditate. And what he found is that when you push yourself to sit with emotions that you've been habitually numbing for your whole life, you actually break the pattern of numbing your emotion and you physically become a new person. Your thoughts change, which means the neurons in your brains rewire. Physically, your brain becomes different, and then your body stops having the addiction to emotions it's had its whole life, and it stops getting out of them. And when you do this work and you're willing to look at yourself and your life fully, you literally break the habit of being yourself, and that allows you to be a new person. By the way, that's one of Joe Dispenza's books. It's called Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, and it's all about doing this work. So when it comes to this work, remember, I have an only two method. My only two method of quitting vaping is be in control of your thoughts and be in control of your emotions. That's it. So it's always one of those two problems, and very often it's both because they're intertwined, right? Your thoughts create your emotions. So when it comes to this work, you have to be willing to feel all of your emotions, or you're always going to have to use willpower. And when you're using willpower, what you're doing is you're resisting your emotions still. You're pushing your urges away instead of allowing them to be there and feeling them. And it's a kind of a tricky difference. I explained this in the course pretty well, but there's a difference from allowing and resisting. It can be kind of tricky. But in general, you want to allow is like feeling the vibration without resistance, without trying to get out of it. Whereas resisting is trying to get out of it or just not feel it, like you're literally pushing up against the emotion. Like, have you ever resisted eating something that looks really tasty? You're like, nope, I don't need it. Nope, I hate it. I hate it. You're like trying to talk yourself out of it, and then you end up eating it. Why? Because you resisted the desire to want it. What if you just allowed yourself to want it, but you didn't respond to the desire? And if that sounds like the same thing, get the course. So this is a really, really awesome episode. If you guys are serious about quitting and you really want to, then I would recommend strongly that you take 5 to 10 minutes a day to sit in complete silence and let the emotion come up. And I promise you that when that comes up, the first thing your brain and body are going to want to do is get out of that emotion, because that's what you've been doing with that emotion your whole life. The work is sitting in the emotion, sitting in discomfort long enough for you not to get out of it. And what you're doing then is literally putting your mind back in charge, the prefrontal cortex, not giving control to your animal body pretty much, who has remembered unconsciously how you've responded to things in the past. Remember, this process is all about self-love. This is a loving process. We do not do emotional work through a lens of judgment or guilt or shame, or else it does not work, so don't even try. If you want to do this work, you be there with yourself, you be curious with yourself, you be compassionate with yourself. If you want to beat yourself up into quitting, you can just go and buy a nicotine patch and then hate yourself for the rest of your life. If you want to learn how to love yourself and do it the right way, then you can keep listening to this podcast and you can get the course, and then you can eventually get into my other programs so that you can love yourself enough to create the life that you want. So this has been a fantastic episode. Give yourself 5 to 10 minutes after it just to sit down with yourself, let the emotion come up. I promise it will. Try to put a name on that emotion and then try to let it vibrate in your body without resistance or without trying to react to it. I'll see you guys next week. This has been a great one. What's up, guys? I hope you're enjoying the show and that each episode is bringing you one step closer to becoming a non-listener. If you'd like to take all this information to the next level and finally quit vaping for good, you can check out the course link in my bio. Have a great day. See you next week.